Prince is just like the rest of us. He's gonna miss the cannon.
Oh no.
Oh.
It's the mentality of a winner right there. A lot happened at MSI. The most talked about thing on Twitter was this. It says the mentality of a winner versus the mentality of a loser.
Bruh.
This gave me an idea on how I can do power rankings for Summer Split. These two. They're not smiling that much. This guy.
Oh, gosh. But
Yeah,
he didn't lose.
But
yet.
what's his mentality? You know, honestly, Tactical brought his computer to the beach. That's a bad look.
Yeah.
Okay, this kind of looks fake. He needs to be sadder. Got a lot to analyze. Straight to the top. All right, Team Luka goes mid. I think I've seen enough. That's close enough.
Yeah.
Okay, did LCS Week 1 already happen? Oh, these. There was a series of tweets. Your Penta was really awesome in LCS today from Prince. Happy that we went 2-0 in our first week of LCS. June 2nd. Can't wait to play against 100 Thieves Esports. Tomorrow, May 31st. Okay, so he was first. 90% intentional. I would love it if one of these was a scheduled tweet that they just forgot to stop. Faves and blocks. All right, let's see if we fave it or we block it. Call up an old friend. Oh, this video.
Look at us. Who does? Not me.
Okay, did anyone know what that referenced?
Yeah.
Okay, you're all old.
The media's one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's the one. So this is nice and quick.
Who'd have thought? Not me.
I'm actually gonna block this one for 100 Thieves because I don't think they have the slurp.
Who does? Not me.
See?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. Prince and Azael fighting. I think the important thing here is the power rankings themselves.
Power rankings, we'll have a cool graphic. This is right here. Yeah.
Prince says FlyQuest power ranking second, have to go hospital. So does Ilset, actually. Are you getting third again instead? And then he's already been taken for delusional disorder. I do like the FlyQuest roster, but I would also not put them first. Delta Fox versus Disguise Toast ending.
Oh, boy keeping in. Trying. Oh, he's trying to go for the steal.
They got Baron.
Oh,
Corky.
the TP, yes, TP. Oh my God!
I think what I respected most about this game is game 1 was so lopsided. They're like, we're gonna put our jungler on Corky, we're gonna put Young on Skarner and run it down, and then still win. Yeah, Toast was trying to fund his team with this stream, so he wanted the third game. Oh, revenge. He has an emote. You get it for the Boomer versus Zoomer event. I want the emote to be fandom, and then I want them to be like ridiculously expensive. I actually don't want people to have it just because they think it looks cool. I want people to have it because they're a fan of the league or the player and have an actual way to support them. Spice, all right, ED drop in the roster. Oh yeah, Evil Geniuses take great pride, and then Vulcan just reached. Yeah, and the Vulcan Ayla trade. That's it, we're done.
Let's go.
That's everything we got.
It's a dart.
It's a little,
Yeah.
it's a little
Dart.
sticky thing.
It's a sticky. What
It's
kind of
really
sticky
hard to
thing?
land on.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed that.
It's like this TikTok thing
Daniel
that people
can
play
land it.
like on the ground.
Okay.
But it's just, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Got
Welcome
my
back.
question answered.
Yeah, welcome back to Live.
That's what you took away from that?
Yeah.
3.5 minutes?
Yes.
In fairness, it was a good shot from Daniel. I was there. I was really impressed that he
There
did
it
that. Dig versus IMT. Let's take a look at these rosters because they also had a few changes that we haven't really delved into yet. Obviously keeping the core of Santorin and Jensen, but then changing some of the pieces around them.
Yeah, Diamond, the support, getting another shot back in the LCS. The bottom lane was definitely the weak spot for them almost the entirety of the last split. They did get a few games with Tomo towards the end, but they're deciding to run him back for the next split. And Rich comes over to replace Armut in the top lane.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of changes of a character. Because even in that graphic, it shows Biofrost, but of course, like it ended up being Ignar that they were waiting for in the Visa.
Right.
So a lot of, turbulence down bot lane. So they're expecting their NACL bot lane that they had in Spring Split and Diamond and Tomo to be performing at least much better comparably to their last split. So that's going to be an exciting thing to see. Of course, Jensen and Santorin, but now we're looking towards Immortals.
Yep, and now we have the IMT roster changes. Obviously, Solo coming in on the top side, and then Bolulu staying as their starting mid laner. He started towards the end of last split. Also, Treatz coming in and reuniting with Tactical. They used to play on TSM Academy together.
And Treatz in here in person, I believe, finally, and not a cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
I saw him the other day.
I miss cardboard cutout Treatz.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, there he is in person.
There we
Unlucky.
go.
Live
All
and
right.
in the flesh. Good to see him playing again, though, like you said, with Tactical.
Yeah, we nabbed him from the sack stream, so like, bless them for this import.
And also, obviously, I mean, we talked a lot about how IMT seemed a little bit directionless in terms of like how they want to play. Bolulu starting will help with that. Also, Solo in the top lane plays weak side. He is also, as we learned, the first 30-year-old in the LCS to start a game.
Yeah.
That is an accomplishment.
Couple close ones here. Afromu would have been 30 if he would have made playoffs in his last split. And then
Oh,
if he
wow.
would have
So
found a
he
team,
just missed
if he
it.
would have found a team in
Yeah.
spring, and Double to be 30 soon.
He's
But
getting there.
currently, Solo running it back here with his next LCS team. Consistently performs on the LCS stage, especially when he's new to a team. So I think Immortals has got a good chance here.
It's good that he goes to the gym because at that age, you got to watch out for your back. I know it. It's coming. So prepare yourself.
On that note, let's go to casters.
Thank you, Raz, and everybody else. Welcome back, everyone. It's game number 3 of the day. We got Immortals and Dignitas going head-to-head here. Now, for both these teams, the name of the game is proving yourself, right? These are two rosters that struggled back in spring. Dignitas showing up with a couple of big names that people didn't expect to see them as low on the table as they were, I don't think. So both these guys got a lot of upward room to improve, and I think you got to start off showing it early, especially against the other teams that people are perceiving as weaker.
So they improved a lot.
They did improve a lot. All of the power rankings leading that we were talking about earlier in the day have these two teams in that bottom 3 slot. And so, hey, if you're going up against the other guys that people are perceiving as weaker, the first step to getting better is showing that you're above that tier.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that both teams, though, I think made some improvements, right? I think the swap to Bolulu for Immortals made them feel a lot more competitive, even though they were still kind of losing most of their games. And for Dignitas, Tomo coming in, Tomo was a breath of fresh air for that team. I do think that he was playing a lot more aggressive. He was really making the opponents work a lot harder, it felt like. Spawn just didn't really kind of work out when he came in. Didn't have a good split at all. So I do think both teams, made some upgrades mid-split that potentially, now they've had the time in the offseason to practice and so on, could pay some dividends. But it is 10th versus 9th from spring, right? Dignitas was 3-15. Immortals was 4-14. I do believe all the wins that they got, though, were with Tomo. I don't think that Dig won any games pre-making that swap. So we could see them do better than that this split for sure.
And I mean, the big thing is too, you're starting over, right?
Yeah.
If you get that bad start and you feel like you're just constantly playing from behind the 8 ball, it can be harder to feel like you've got any sort of footing in the league, in the competition, in any of it. Everybody's starting from scratch again, so you can get yourself off to the start that you wish you would have had. You can avoid that situation. And for one of these teams, they will get to start off with a 1-0 record.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of the players, who are coming in, I think a lot of people who have been in the scene for a long time have probably heard of Rich. But if you have not, it's kind of an interesting story because this is a guy who came actually from Heroes of the Storm and was known as like the faker of Heroes of the Storm, right? Like he was the best player in that game, another MOBA. So coming over to League, he has been in League for quite a while now. Originally joined Gen G in 2019, has been through a number of different teams, Nongshim Red Forest. He went to, LPL for a while, played in Ninjas Pajamas in V5. So he has been around for a number of years now. But was really at the very tip top of a different game and really trying to kind of continue to establish himself here in League of Legends.
And I think it's one of those things that can hold true for a lot of guys. And this is true for you as well, as someone who was a world champion. When you're good at one game, you are often good at games in general. It is a skill set, the ability to understand the rules of something you are presented with, figure out the right ways to go about doing it, as well as the mechanics needed to succeed at executing on those.
I mean, absolutely. I just always have kind of seen it as learning to learn, right? And I do think, that a lot of these people that are top, if you're at the top of anything, you really understand how to get good at something, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely true with him. You know, being pro in multiple games is really impressive. And that's been true of a lot of players who have come through the LCS as well. You know, you'll see a lot of guys playing other games, you know, in their downtime and stuff, and reaching the top of the ladder. I remember Huni was like an Overwatch fiend, and he was like top 500 in Overwatch at the same time as he was playing LCS and stuff. So a lot of these guys are just incredibly good at games. And Rich is definitely included in that. I'm going to be interested to see how he performs because our MUT did not have the best split. You know, you talked about there's higher expectations for Dig. I think people saw, all right, you have Jensen, you have Santorin, you have Armut. Like, that should be enough to get you some wins, right? It didn't really work out for them.
Well, the problem was everybody looked up Armut's OP.GG and then banned Gnar. There was a bit of a problem.
Oh, come
because
on, he's gone.
That ban's out. Gentleman Gnar, Astronaut Gnar, Dino Gnar, the other one that I can't remember his name. There's a lot of Gnar ban value that you get with just one ban. But hopefully, for the side of Dig, Rich will be able to provide that sort of pressure and presence in the top lane that Armut did not provide for them. And I think when you started off with top lane and bot lane back in spring, both having difficulties just in the natural state of the lane, 1v1, 2v2, or whatever, it meant it was free for the enemy team to put more focus on Jensen, who's always been more of a resource-intensive player, and it just was a recipe for disaster.
Oh my god, the first 30-year-old to ever lock in a champion in the LCS.
And it's Milio. This is gonna be a good one, Isaac. We've got the Maokai, the Vi, Nico, Kindred, a lot of jungle focus in the bans here, along with the Yuumi and the Lucian. Dignitas going to lock in MSI's favorite champion in Jinx and the Annie right next to it.
I might get Jinx Aphelios. Aphelios has been ridiculously popular in pro play. It is the most picked by far in pro play on 13-11, so it's going to get locked in. Ahri getting blocked in as well. We'll have to see. You know, this is, very MSI-esque with Aphelios, Jinx bot lane, Annie, Ahri mid. Milio, of course, was not enabled on that patch, but is very, very strong. Jinx Lulu. Yeah, so we're right back to MSI, baby.
I'm back in London. My allergies are going crazy, and my sleep schedule is all messed up, and I'm having a great time.
Toast?
Yeah, beans on toast. I ate beans.
Did you eat beans on toast?
I ate a massive pile of beans on top of 4 hash browns for breakfast every morning. That was my plan.
The London experience.
Yeah, I had a great time. But yeah, Jinx Lulu, the MSI special locked in. Now we do have our bottom lanes and supports. We do have our mid laners here on both teams. It means it's time to ban top lane and jungle. That jungle pool has already been pressured pretty heavily in the first half of the draft. We'll see if they want to continue looking there. Dignitas obviously more concerned about the state of the solo lanes. K'Sante getting banned away.
Yeah, going to be focusing a little bit on those solo lanes. Obviously, Solo has been known so much throughout his career as a weak side guy. He really focuses on the tanks. That is kind of his bread and butter. So I wouldn't be shocked, especially if Dignitas want to counterpick top, then just ban out some more safe blinds. You know, ban out like an Orm, ban out a Sion, ban out that kind of stuff from Solo, and try to see if Rich can create any sort of advantage there. Rich, has been known to play some carries, definitely in the top lane. His most played all time is actually the Aatrox. It's Gnar, Aatrox, Jace are his top 3, but he has Kennen, Gragas, and so on in there. He has played a lot of different champions throughout his career, so it would be interesting to see, if for his debut game in the LCS, they want to try to play towards top. They want to try to give him that counter pick and see what he can get done against Solo, who I think is a really good test for anyone coming into the LCS, because this guy is LCS caliber, has been for years and years and years. He's rock solid. He's played across so many different teams. And you kind of know what you're going to get from Solo. He's really, really consistent. So, if Rich can counterpick on 5, if he can actually get something going up in that top lane, could spell really good things for him in this league.
Well, the last 2 bans are going to be junglers again instead of the top laners. Wukong banned out, Nocturne banned away, and Rek'Sai locked in for Santorin in the jungle, a champion we have not been seeing a lot of super recently. So Dignitas goes with some pretty expected meta stuff from the last time we were watching some pro League of Legends, internationally at least, and then they throw the Rek'Sai in with it.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai is going to be really interesting. I know there also has been some spice recently where people are playing Rek'Sai in solo lanes. I've seen a little bit of Rek'Sai mid. I've seen a little bit of Rek'Sai top. I'm not expecting it. But I'm just throwing it out there.
A little asterisk saying maybe, just maybe.
Maybe, just maybe. But there are a lot of different builds, for Rek'Sai, on this patch. People are still mostly going Stridebreaker, but there's quite a bit of lethality Rek'Sai. I've even seen Gale Force Rek'Sai in solo queue. So there's a lot of different builds that you can do. I don't think so either. But But I think it's kind of a fun champion right now because it actually does have a lot of flexibility, and it's a lot of different items that actually all have good win rates. Like all these different things have like 54, 55% win rate. So it's actually really good in solo queue and really, really flexible. You can build a lot of different stuff.
I mean, Stridebreaker, I'm totally expecting. If we get Gale Force Rek'Sai, I will take off my boot and drink an entire Red Bull from it on the stream.
Wait, can I message Santorin? there ain't no way. And I'm with you. I'm with you. But I do think Stridebreaker is definitely, that's the most likely. But I wouldn't be shocked to see lethality because there actually is a lot of lethality builds for it in solo queue as well. And a lot of people who are really trying to like super index in towards early game dominance do like going for those lethality builds because you can, if you get ahead of the pace of the game, you can solo out some of these carries, right? You can have that potential to actually, just dive in, 100 to 0 a carry, or at least push them completely out of the fight and create space for your team. So I do think it's a viable way to play. If I had to expect it, because it's what we almost get in pro play, it's probably just like Stridebreaker tank or whatever. But,
right.
But I would be excited to see some of the different builds coming out. And it is going to be a counter pick here for Rich. So he goes Jax on 5. It is the Sion. I would love to see something like Sion banned out potentially instead of that Nocturne. But obviously they're more concerned about Kenvi's jungle picks being carry style. That's kind of where Immortals won all their games. I think they only won last split when he was playing Kindred, Graves, those types of champions where he can really be aggressive. So that's really his bread and butter.
And I know talking to, Rafa and Cubby and a lot of the guys who casted the tier 2 leagues when Kenvi was playing in those, that's what he excels on. That is who he is as a player. The problem is those sort of aggressive picks aren't often in the meta in the top level the same way you can kind of just play it if you're exceptionally good at it in tier 2.
Yeah.
So for Kenvi, having him on something like the Sejuani, not to say that he's bad at it, but it's certainly far from his specialty. And for Immortals, they're going to need to play around these two big front lines here, being that wall for Aphelios to safely gun from behind. Tactical's got some pressure on him. He's the main threat in this composition. It's the AD carry's dream. Two big dudes to protect you, one little dude to give you some buffs. You're doing great.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, it kind of sucks for Kenvi because Kindred is actually super strong right now and totally meta, but even last split, because of kind of the respect that he was given from scrims, Kindred was the most banned champion against Immortals in spring, right? And now it's way more powerful. So he's probably never going to get it. It's just going to be banned against him almost every single time. So that is kind of what he has to deal with, unfortunately. It is, that 20 KDA on the Kindred in spring.
Yes, not only was Solo the first 30-year-old player to lock
Makes
in a
sense.
champion.
When you're 30, no more Jax. It's Sion only.
Yeah, Sion playing very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's actually a nice feature of the client. Once I hit 30 myself, as the champions stop showing up in Champ Select, if for some reason I go on, there's only Maokai, Sion, Ornn.
I mean, I've been playing Skarner for years, so I'm having a great time.
That's still available. That's in there.
Yeah, I know.
You can play that at 60.
It's fantastic.
You just have to press Q.
Well, Immortals are going to start their jungler up here on the top side with the blue, just making sure that Rich doesn't show up, try to interfere with anything. Now Solo can walk his way up to the lane. We're not going to get any of those level 1 Sion shenanigans that we saw so much of during MSI.
And that was much more of a red side strat anyway. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting that to come in, but what's something that was really cool with the champion. The level 1s can be really, really interesting from Sion. And I'm just excited to see what Rich is really going to show us. He's kind of the biggest question mark for me, with this new team, because Arma had some really good games, but overall, wasn't, I think, at the level that people were kind of hoping for. If you were a Dignitas fan. I think Jensen still was solid in spring. They didn't get a lot of wins, but Jensen was pretty solid. And I would say Santorin's early games were still really good. So there were some bright spots. There were some clear bright spots for Dignitas in spring, but they very rarely were able to kind of turn it into much. Santorin would often have a good early pathing, get a couple kills, and then everything would kind of fall apart.
I mean, it goes back to what you were saying in draft, and that's that Spawn had a bad split, right? And you're talking about a meta game and a game state in League of Legends that was incredibly AD carry focused. And if the AD carry's not going to bring that firepower in your skirmishes and your team fights, it's harder to deal with. Kenvi grabs his red buff. Santorin shows up, but the Sejuani has already moved away.
Yeah, wanted to check on Raptors there. He saw that Sejuani went by with his passive, but obviously used the E. So seeing if he could actually snipe anything out with his burrow Q, not going to be able to get it, so it's just going to be right back. nice little attempt at the invade, but does mean that Sejuani's going to be quite a bit ahead of the pace of the game right now. You know, got those extra 2 camps. He's going to be back to base and likely just head out towards top, grab topside scuttle, and then retreat back towards the Grom potentially. So we'll see exactly what he wants to get done. Santorin on that 4th camp right now. And, you know, have to really track what this Rek'Sai can get done, because Rek'Sai has not really changed that much since we've seen it. Prowler's Claw is obviously gone. That is something that a lot of people really liked. Oh,
nicely done. This man's farming achievements here today.
Not only can he pick the champion, he got another.
Beautifully done. This is your classic Sion gameplay. But Dignitas, once again, still just trying to find some success in these side lanes in a way that they weren't getting
Watch out,
much
Solo.
of. Solo? You all right, buddy? Okay, we're cool. Kenvi's coming to help.
Yeah, Kenvi's coming to help. Gonna be able to push. Oh, nice little side step from Rich.
Yeah.
Gonna be able to smack the pig on the butt and then get out of there. Should be able to push this in, no problem. Will this be the first 30-year-old to base in the LCS?
I believe.
I think he's pressing B.
Now,
yeah, I think he's gonna do it.
Hold on, he's still walking.
Oh!
There we go.
Look at him go.
Nicely done.
Yep. Has a CS advantage as well. These are just dubs.
Well, now Rich will be able to pick that one up. Solo's back in the base, has that first purchase.
What's the purchase?
Completed.
A ruby crystal and boots. Feels like 30.
Yeah. I understand. We've got a pretty even game state here early on, 5 minutes in. Nobody's really got a whole lot accomplished super early on. And I mean, if I'm Kenvi, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Because when you're playing up against Rek'Sai, I kind of give Rek'Sai the same sort of treatment that I give a champion like Lee Sin or Nidalee. And that's that if you get to level 7 and your score is 0-0 and 0, I feel like there had to have been a missed opportunity somewhere, even if that opportunity was in the draft to pick something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely gonna have some regrets if you get into that situation. I will say, at least in for me, always feels like a little bit different because there's always that playmaking potential. Rek'Sai doesn't really have that, you know? Like, there is the potential maybe dive into the back line and zero someone out, but it's like, generally, Rek'Sai can only do that from ahead of the pace of the game. So to your point, you kind of need to have had that early action, you know, farmed up some kills, really get to a strong point. But, you know, there has been good vision control so far. You can see pinks on both sides of mid lane. Santorin, you know, did clear out that one more, but there's still pinks and pickle. And Bolulu is playing very respectfully, playing very far back. You know, is not going to be falling prey to this gank.
And you could see Santorin was looking for that gank because even though Jensen was level 5 when he showed up, Jensen only needed 2 minions to get the EXP for level 6. So they were hoping maybe they could just get the surprise attack there on Bolulu, an instant Annie level up into a flash Tibbers, into a follow-up from Rek'Sai, but it doesn't happen. And Santorin will now aggro the Drake, but there is a ward on it from the side of IMT.
It is spotted, but they have push in bot, and they do have first 6 in mid, so we'll see. You know, Kenvi could potentially come over here and harass, but I don't think he's going to mess with it. Well, he's just going to look for bot instead.
Wants to go for the play on the enemy duo. Tomo just trying to walk this one off. It at least gives Tactical the opportunity to pour a lot of damage into Tomo. Flash from the Jinx, heal from the Lulu, both forced there.
And this is great. I mean, Treatz actually trades out his sums, but he gets flash off enemy bot laner. And because they went so aggressive on that gank, that gets them access to the river. So I actually think it's much smarter that Kenvi attacks bot lane in the 3v2 before walking into the river. If he just goes straight into the river, the enemy bot could actually collapse on him, and he could be the one in trouble. So he ganks bot, they force out Jinx sums, they push them back, and then they grab the dragon off that. Potentially even going to grab a play. At the very least, he's going to grab some Spell Thieves Gold and then just base.
And I mean, that's good heads up, recognizing, hey, it's level 5 Rek'Sai with a pickaxe. It's still a 5,000 health dragon. I've got time, right? It's 20 seconds before we can kill this thing. So let's go make a different play. I like that. Immortals is rewarded for that. Oh, no. And now we've paused that.
Santorin was the one who paused.
Well, we'll see what's happening.
We'll hopefully find out.
A lot of water bottles on that stage. Hopefully it's just a spill.
Oh, it was closed bottle. That was almost spilled.
Well, we're going to have to see whether it was a spill or something else and hopefully get back into the game ASAP.
Yeah, we've had a lot less spills ever since Svenskeren stopped playing.
I mean, unlucky.
That was like every other week, you know?
Yeah, there's quite a few of those there for a while. I was starting to wonder if like, what kind of cup are you drinking at that point? Like, is it one of those pranks where your buddy just, like, puts a hole in the stupid bed? Yeah. The first 30-year-old player to be involved.
Making history,
and an in-game pause here in the LCS.
This is dubs for, you know, almost all the casters now are in our 30s, if not all of us. So he's out there. He's fighting for us.
Yeah.
He's getting dubs.
Nicely done. setting a new standard here in the LCS for solo. We still do not have an update as to what might be going on here. Usually that means that hopefully it'll be faster, so fingers crossed on that one. Or
it's so apocalyptic that they don't have time to talk to us.
Did you really just have to say it out loud? I'm trying to have like a
it's just like a stream of consciousness thing, you know. I actually had to.
Well,
it just pops into my head. It's got to come out.
I know the feeling. That's how I cast when I'm not on an official broadcast. But we have
goes through a filter and then it comes out.
Yeah, right. You have to plug the filter on.
Yeah, I have to plug in the filter. Yeah.
But we have an update. It is some sort of a keyboard mechanical issue with Diamond here. You can see we're investigating what's going on with that one. Hopefully we can get the keyboard working.
He had a cool looking keyboard too.
Yeah, dude, it's got all those.
Looks like he's got a custom one. Got some different colors on there. You know.
Dude, did you know that sometimes I learned this? People spend like thousands of dollars on keyboards and you can customize them with stuff or whatever, and the buttons make a different clickety-clackety, and some of them are better than it's like Pokemon cards, but it's buttons.
There's all kinds of different switches if you want them to be more of a click, less of a click, harder to push, lighter to push.
Yeah, I've seen people tweet about that kind of stuff before.
You know, Pastry Time's really into mechanical keyboards.
Pastry's one of the people.
He's got like a bunch of different keyboards.
Pastry is actually one of the leaders in the CaptainFlowers social media confusion club, because the two things that confuse me the most, and I never know what people are talking about, is keyboards. No, keyboards and Magic the Gathering. Because I never know what either of those things are when people talk about them in detail. But apparently it's real, and apparently we're back into the game. No more pause. So let's see where we can go from here. Immortals, remember they just got that first Drake. It was Dignitas starting it up, but Immortals taking control over the river in time to then steal that objective out. Feels pretty good. And hey, for Kenvi, like we already talked on a little bit here, things are moving forward at a nice, calm pace, exactly where Sejuani wants to be.
Iron Spike Whip, so is going to be not a lethality build here.
I mean, honestly, I like Stridebreaker. It's a pretty chat item.
Stridebreaker's pretty cool. It's a fun item.
You get damage. You get to press another button to deal damage.
That's true. Do you think we're going to get Stridebreaker in a tank? That's what I kind of expect.
Yeah, probably.
I would say it's like the norm for competitive.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, if they can actually make anything happen with Santorin at 6 and Jensen at 6. I think they want to try to start making something happen. You know, whether they're looking at a Herald play or whatever. A lot of these wards have been actually paying dividends. Nice sidestep there from Diamond.
Yep. Tactical and Treatz, remember, these guys used to play together a long, long time ago. I believe it was back on TSM Academy.
Yeah.
You saw them all duoed up. That was, as the lounge commented, that was back when Treatz wasn't here in person, had to play remotely, so we just had a cardboard cutout of him. At least the boys can sit next to each other and play the game now. The Dignitas going after the Herald as Kenvi looks for a setup here. Might just be able to go over the wall, force the dive with the wave about to crash in. Immortals knows that their opponents are backing away. They don't want to allow them to get all the way out. They force the flash. Nice prediction from Kenvi, locking Diamond down. But they don't want to keep this chase going any further. Instead, they're just going to continue to push out that next wave, choke Dignitas out of a lot of EXP and gold here with the wave crashing into the turret, and pick up some bonus gold of their own, getting those plates. Second plate should drop here before the wave does.
Yeah, really nicely done. Just going to be able to actually force that flash, get a couple plates here, denying some minions as well. Diggs bot lane will walk back up now that they know Kenvi's not exactly in the area, and Santorin is coming down to cover. But it's a great play from Kenvi. He only expends the ultimate, gets a flash out of there, and now he's going to be heading over towards mid as in comes Solo.
Jensen already flashed away, and it's an Immortals party here in mid lane. They even get the money on Bolulu. It's first blood to Immortals, and Solo is the first 30-year-old player with an assist in the LCS.
Players over 30 in the LCS, 100% success rate on roams.
You love to see it. You love to hear it. Solo and Immortals off to a good start.
Incredible stuff here from Solo.
Let's see it again.
Yeah, well, yeah, we gotta watch it again. Why are we showing this? Highlight to Sion. Look at him go. Who knew a 30-year-old could move that fast?
Come on.
I mean, I'm roasting myself. I'm older.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. All right.
Yeah. If I wasn't 30, you know, then maybe I couldn't do it.
Well, we do have 400 stacks also on that Sion there. You can see the Soul Furnace. I love this addition to our UI with champions that build stacks.
Yep.
Being able to track them at all points in the game and just know exactly where you're at.
Number go up.
Yup, number go up, brain make good chemical. And that's what's going on up there for Immortals. That Sion getting nice and tanky. We love this champion when we draft it on any team to see it just become that impenetrable wall of health, especially like I said earlier, when you've got this Aphelios in the bottom lane. This is the game plan. Just move forward. They can't fight you front to back. There's no way. Keep tactical protected.
Do you ever sometimes kind of int because you want the number to go up though? Because sometimes I'm playing grass.
Number?
No. Like, you know, I'm playing like grass. I'm like, ooh, it's probably be a really bad trade, but I could proc grass spear.
Oh, yeah. No, I do that all the time. Yeah. It's especially the number that I want to go up is damage done to champions at the end of the game. So it's like, well, there's obviously no reason to participate in PvP.
But there are 4 people I can queue here.
Yes, there's a lot of bad guys on my screen, and I need to get rid of them. So I'm definitely with you in that one. Ooh, Santorin actually has a lot of Rek'Sai games in his career. 41 games, 20 wins, and 21 losses. So looking at even
I'm willing to bet that this is almost all in the super old Rek'Sai, though, where we actually had AoE knockup. You remember when it first came in?
AoE knockup, and you could teleport around the map with your ult?
Everyone played full tank Rek'Sai, and it was the farm alarm out from base, and it was just like flash AoE knockups over and over and over. And we haven't really seen that much Rek'Sai anymore in competitive ever since they made it. So the knockup was just that one target. So it's kind of fun to see it back in. But, you know, so far, this warding around mid has kept them totally safe, and it's just going to be the ulti getting dropped, you know, looking for that trade, but they're going to try to turn around.
Oh, my God. Kenvi shows up. Dignitas. They thought they had the man advantage, but Immortals is ready to match, making a 2-0 lead for IMT.
Nicely done. Yeah, Jensen didn't have his flash available there. He goes in for the early trade. Does get a bit of a chunk on Bolulu, but Bolulu had his jungler there, so they just turn it around. And Dignitas has been trying to force around mid lane so heavily, but every single time it's warded out, so it's becoming very, very predictable. And this time they get punished really, really heavily here. As not only does Jensen go down, but Santorin loses his flash there, and it's only ultimate spend on the other side, and you're going to lose Dragon.
And meanwhile, Solo up here, you pointed out how this guy, he's perma weak side, and he knows how to play it, that's fine. Everything's happening around the rest of the map. He doesn't care. He's farming up on Sion, and that's all he needs to do. Herald is dropped. The 2 plates are claimed, but it's still a 2,000 gold lead for Immortals. They've nearly taken the entirety of the first turret here in the bottom lane. The Aphelios and Milio crushing the Jinx Lulu, in part thanks to the presence from Kenvi.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, making things happen down on that bot side, creating an advantage. And, you know, Milio, it really does kind of change the way that some of these matchups work because of the added range. It's such a unique stat because there's not a lot of champs that can actually buff their range, right? You know, there's like Kindred stacks and there's like Kayle scaling and things like that. Tristana, obviously, you know, with the passive, there's Gnar and mini form. There's a few different things, but range is such a powerful stat. I think that range is actually like the most powerful stat in League of Legends. And when you're fighting against someone like Aphelios, you know, you're used to taking trades in a certain way, but all of a sudden, a sniper Aphelios with Cozy Campfire just, you know, is auto-spacing you in a way that you're not actually used to, and you have to really totally change how you play.
Range is one of those stats, I put it in the same category as movement speed, where if you see an adjustment to it in the patch notes, that is an extreme adjustment. Even if the number itself is small, like originally one of the biggest nerfs to Lucian, back when he had 550 auto attack range like everybody else, they had to knock it down to 500 because he was just way too strong like that, right? When you see some old melee champions going from 128 to the more modern 175 for bruisers, it's a big deal. Attack range can seriously make a difference in so many of these trades. And like you said, because it's still a new champion, because it's still something that hasn't been in the game that long, people aren't used to playing around the adjusted Milio pattern, and you can get a lot of cheap shots in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's the passive makes it so powerful as well, right? Because it's not just this added range. You're actually getting procs of the passive, so you can get multiple hits of that bonus magic damage that comes through the passive. So it's healing you up, it's giving you range, it's giving you damage, kind of everything in one. And now Tomo.
Oh, lockdown. There's the follow-up stun. Tomo waits on the cleanse. Kenvi still looking for the dive here. Nice flash from Tomo. The reaction will keep him alive. If that connected, Tactical would have been ready to follow up with a Moonlight Vigil, and that could have been a serious problem. Dignitas, though, they continue to always be the ones reacting to every play, as Immortals are the ones making every move.
I mean, Kenvi is having a really good game quietly, it feels like there. And I'm not sure if he had the timer exactly right, but it looked like he forced the cleanse, and then he was trying to wait out the reduced CC with the cleanse, which lasts, I think, I don't know, 3 seconds or so.
I believe that's correct.
So he was trying to wait that out, then throw the ulti, which actually forced the flash. So And we'll see Santorin moving in here. Rich has TP'd in, but there's more Immortals members in the area right now.
They brought in everybody. It's a 5-man squad from Immortals. Rich here on the front. Remember, there's no ulti available for Sejuani. Rich has found himself in the middle of everyone. Super Mega Death Rocket over the wall, but IMT claims the Herald. Now they got to be careful because Santorin's already dead. Tactical taking the kill as Dignitas retreat. Follow-up flashes all ready to go, and a double kill for Aphelios. Immortals is loving how this one is going. This squad is looking good here in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Immortals are looking really good, and the kills are going exactly where you would want them. 2 kills on the Ahri and 2 kills on Tactical's Aphelios, who is rushing that Storm Razor, which is just even more move speed added in here. You get that proc, you get the move speed, you get the move speed from the Milio shield as well, which is going to be feeling really, really nice. So it makes it so difficult to actually chase down and even get away in these situations. You know, Rich going in early with a pretty big counter-strike, but look where Tomo is, right? It's just way too early. Sure, you hit a counter-strike on multiple members, you throw out the ult, but Jinx is not in the fight. Yeah, Jinx can contribute the ulti, but you're never really going to win from this position. So Santorin's going in deep, and still, Tomo's not even close, right? Like, they're just not on the same page. If everyone wanted to take the fight and it was Tomo's mistake that he wasn't there, you kind of have to just accept that, take the L, and just say, hey, we can't actually do it. Gotta have to back off here. But in this case, Jensen gonna die again, just no flash.
Yeah, slowed up, tagged up by everybody. Immortals, man, they're doing so good. It's just impressive to see. This is kind of what we talked about, wanting to see from everybody coming into summer, especially with the late start, is how ready are you? How much have you been making use of this practice time? And Immortals are seeming pretty well practiced. They aren't even done yet. They continue looking for a little bit more as Diamond uses the wild growth on himself in order to stay alive. Tier 2 turret just drops.
Oh my God.
Tactical getting it done. Meanwhile, Solo up here in the top lane, the first 30-year-old to split push a Tier 2 turret in the LCS, continuing to apply global pressure.
Get you a man who can do both. He can tank it up, he can split push. Don't need no Jax.
He's being Jax better than Jax as Sion.
Yeah. It's looking good. I mean, Solo's being solo up in the top lane. Tactical and Treatz were really doing well in the 2v2, and that advantage was kind of slammed home by Kenvi. You know, Santorin and Jensen were clearly, their game plan was to play around mid, right? And utilize the early power of that Annie, point and click stun up this Ahri, look for those ganks. But it didn't ever really happen because Immortals always had wards around mid lane, protecting Bolulu, and then once it was post 6, it was very difficult. Diamond does have flash, may have to use it.
Steps away from the Moonlight Vigil.
Nice sidestep.
Treatz wanted to get in there for the Ultra Mega Fire Kick, I think is the name. It's something absurd like that. It's Super Mega Death Rocket tier.
Ultra Mega Fire Kick. You actually, oh, I'm impressed.
Let's go.
What's the E? Pop quiz.
The E is Warm Hugs.
Okay, nailed it. You're 2 for 2. You already know Cozy Campfire.
Yeah.
Do you know the ulti?
Breath of Life.
Okay. Do you know the passive? I don't even know if that's fair to ask.
Fired Up, I think.
Oh my God! First 30-year-old to know this.
Come on, man. Well, at least I beat Solo for one up.
The brain's still there. Still got it.
I'm not entirely incompetent yet.
Not early onset Alzheimer's just yet.
Yeah, we're still at, even though I played Skarner, which has definitely slowed me down, we're in there, baby. We got 6,000 gold lead for Immortals. We've got a soul point game for Immortals. We've got all of this at 19 minutes into the game, Isaac. The only thing Dignitas have acquired for themselves so far in this game was the first Rift Herald. And yes, it did get them 2 plates in the top lane, but that's not nearly enough.
No, I thought you were going to say sadness or something like that.
No, I was being serious.
You know.
Well, I guess technically you were too, because right now it's a pretty sad state of affairs for Dig. It feels like we're not really anywhere that can be translated into something useful.
Yeah.
I guess one thing you could look at is the deaths aren't on the Jinx, so you're still trying to farm up down there, get the Jinx to a point where she can carry. 0 and 4 on Jensen's Annie has been the target of so much here of what Immortals has been doing.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because it was clearly the game plan of Dig to focus around mid-jungle and to put pressure on there, but the only aggressive flash that actually happened, like the flash was aggressive from Jensen, but that ended up kind of backfiring, and you know, he has been in this kind of weird cycle where he used his flash aggressively one time, got killed because of it, and then just constantly getting pressured after that. So he's always having to defensively flash, and he's always missing that summoner and getting punished for it really, really heavily. So Immortals in a great spot. Jax has not been able to establish any sort of side lane dominance. You can see objective bounties has spawned, and Immortals are just going to straight up start the Baron. You have White Gun Aphelios. This is going to get shredded. Has been spotted here by Dig, though. We'll see if they can do anything about it.
Dignitas wants to challenge for this. Santorin is just immediately killed. The cutthroat gameplay of Immortals right here. They waste no time. As soon as Santorin is in range, they engage, and they guarantee themselves a 20-minute Baron. Now Super Mega Death Rocket not doing a whole lot. Baron will go over to an Immortals squad that is playing some of the best damn League of Legends I've seen this team play in years.
Yeah, what a clean game. I mean, Immortals are looking incredibly good so far. They started up immediately, mid-jungle just go over the wall there. Kenvi nails the engage. The follow-up is there from the Ahri. Solo was even there for the TP flank if a fight actually broke out, but as soon as Santorin died, Dick said, never mind, we're just a prank, bro.
Yeah.
They just got right out of there. So now you're at soul point, you have Baron, you're up 7K, and it's 21 minutes in. This is looking amazing for Immortals, and we just have to see, can they cleanly close it out, right? Because we saw in that previous game, TL established amazing leads like this, but they really struggled to actually just quickly and cleanly close it out, and that's what I want to see from Immortals. That is a test for them now, because if they can do that, you can't really have a more impressive game one of the split.
And when I look at Dignitas and I look at the state of the game, one of the things I always like to consider is, okay, well, what would be a win condition? Split push Jax? Well, you already established he doesn't have control in the side lane. Jinx mega scaling? Unfortunately, still only at one completed item. Rek'Sai being ahead of the curve of the game? Not happening. It's hard to see any of these windows being open because Immortals have just slammed them all shut and locked Dignitas out.
Yeah, I mean, you want to say like Miracle engage from Annie or something like that, but as long as Milio doesn't get caught in it, Milio just ults that. Your AoE cleanse, right? You can actually just remove the stun. You can deny a lot of that potential pick and engage that has been drafted for on Dig's side. And you can see Dig struggling to even defend their inhibs at all here. This inhib bot lane is already gone. Mid lane's being pushed in, so they can just move around towards mid and try to push that up as well. But for now, it looks like they just want to go back, spend up all their gold. They do have quite a bit of gold in pocket. The team across the board probably sitting on about 4K, maybe 4.5 or 5K. And going to be getting ready for this dragon.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to point out, you saw that Diamond and Tomo had to retreat back into the fountain. Dignitas couldn't make any sort of a fight for that inhibitor. The damage that they took to take them both down to half HP was just the bonus Infernum damage and the punch through for having the blue gun. Yeah. That's it. Aphelios attacking the turret and standing too close to the turret. But yeah, the Hex Soul spawning in under a minute now. Immortals wants to be ready for this. Everybody's going back and purchasing. Redemption now completed for Treatz. The support on Immortals has more completed items than the AD carry on Dignitas. Ooh. That's how you know the state of the game is dire for the side of Dig.
Never mind, it's great.
Okay.
Looking good.
All right, we're there. We got the Gale Force, but man, things would have to go just perfect. Just perfect for Dignitas to be able to stand a chance in these fights.
I mean, it would have to be big blunders, I think, from the Immortals side in positioning and also, execution in that team fight. There's double stopwatch as well. Santorin going to be pushed back immediately.
Santorin. Tomo's the one who eats the Sejuani ulti there, willing to spend the cleanse to get away. Bolulu goes over the wall, wanted the flash charm. They could have hit Tomo there. It would have been an insta-kill. Rich was on the side, ready to join up, but the fight dissipates before then.
Yeah, no sums on Tomo is going to make this even more difficult for them to approach. It's a tough one to give over, though. Hextech is such a strong soul, but they don't really have any way in here. May just try to walk straight in and bully their way through, but man. Solo saying, you shall not pass.
It's not happening, man. Solo's ready to lead the charge as Rich tries to escape off to the left, but Immortals are already going to claim him. He tries to jump out, and for now he does. Tactical wants the chase. He fires the Q, but he will not connect. Kenvi still looking to stay hot on his heels here with the Arctic Assault. Rich will get out. Miraculously. Wait, maybe not.
Oh,
Summon
the
redemption from Treatz to guarantee the Jax can't escape. Rich, again. Is it a guarantee? Sejuani doesn't do a lot of damage without hitting abilities. Kenvi still trying to chase this one. There it is. Takes him out. Rich falls 7-0 for Immortals. 8K gold lead. Hex Soul in their pocket. Now let's just see how fast they can close it out. The first two games of the day both ended in under 30 minutes. With the advantage that Immortals has and the way they've been playing so far, you know they'd love to join the club.
Absolutely. They still have double stopwatch on their carries as well. They have this massive front line around them.
Oh!
does everything in a great ulti.
That was beautiful. Kenvi goes to the side because it looks like Santorin would have been the obvious target from where Sejuani was, but he throws that ult the other way, lands it for the immediate pick on Diamond. Nice stuff from Immortals. 2 inhibitors down in the enemy base now.
Yeah, beautifully done. And they have another 6K or so to actually spend up. So they're just going to base. They're going to spend that all up. Continue to complete all these items. You know, looking really, really good. You can see 3K between mid and jungle. There was another 2K on Kenvi. A couple hundred on top and support as well. So just going to be picking up everything that they can. Anathema's Chains makes a lot of sense. The only world in which this somehow is a comeback is a world in which Tomo, 1v9s, right?
Yeah.
So you grab the Anathema's Chains, you can kind of just walk at Jinx with that item up on him and really push him back in the fight, create space for your carries, make it a nightmare situation for Tomo, who still has no sums at this point. They're gonna have supers coming in, multiple waves. Now Rich is just trying to push out bot as far as he can before they have to come back and actually defend through topside, but it feels like an almost impossible task because there's not even really any deep wards that they could look for a TP on. Everything has really been cleared out pretty well. There's that one ward over by the red buff, but Immortals are really kind of checking all the boxes. Like, look at all the vision they have in the enemy jungle.
Immortals has been playing such a good game of League of Legends, and I want to go back to our expectations coming into this. It was 9th versus 10th, and Immortals are not looking like a 9th place team in this game. Santorin and Rich coming around from behind. Bolulu escapes back to the safety of the rest of the Immortals backline as Solo joins up with Kenvi, and they're ready to be that wall that Dignitas cannot punch through. Jensen with a flash back over the wall in the jungle to escape as Immortals still at full HP. The battery of healing that is Treatz doing a great job keeping them all topped off and protected. There goes the tier 3 turret. Final inhibitor in the Dignitas base is focused down next. Only one Nexus turret left, and it's got about 1 hit on it. Tactical can take that down with a single auto attack. There it goes. Only the Nexus stands. Rich at half HP. Dignitas have to make their final stand. Jensen at half, trying to hold these guys at bay as Immortals regroup and follow to protect Tactical. Santorin is dropped as Kenvi will finally be the first kill of the game for Dignitas. They pick up the enemy jungler, but it's still already a 2-for-1. They've lost their AD carry, and Dignitas are trapped in their own fountain. Solo's not going to let them away as Rich has to drop the counter-strike just to survive. Jensen continues falling back as Immortals continue pushing forward. 10-1, they get it done. Immortals started off with a win.
30-year-olds undefeated in the LCS. Solo, first man over 30, picking up a win in the LCS. Immortals, that was an amazing game from them. They look so damn good here. These are two teams that were battling out at the bottom of the tables in spring, and Immortals clearly looking head and shoulders above Dignitas, at least here today. Tactical and Treatz were great in the 2v2. Bolulu, did a good job avoiding that early pressure that Santorin and Jensen were trying to put on. They had great ward coverage from him. Solo was rock solid in top lane, and Kenvi, I thought, had an excellent game on the Sejuani. He was proactive. He was covering where he needed to cover. He was finding engages when he needed to find engages. There's really not much to criticize here. It's a 27-minute win where you got all dragons, all heralds, barons. You did everything.
They missed the first herald. They missed the first herald.
Good point.
Because at the same time, they were diving bottom, denying them 2 waves, taking the same amount of plates the herald would have got, and giving themselves better tempo. Honestly, the only thing I have to say to Immortals after that one is, let's keep that up.
Yeah.
Show me more of that. Because if Immortals can keep playing like that, hey, last split, it was the Golden Guardians that went from being one of those last place teams that showed up and proved everybody, hey, we can actually play really well. Maybe Summer is Immortals' chance to prove the same thing if the gameplay keeps looking like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think if you can really enable Tactical, and Tactical is feeling comfortable and playing at his best, this is a guy who could take over games, right? And that is something that people have always known. When Tactical is playing at his best, he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
But he's just not always consistent, and that has kind of been the battle that he has fought throughout his career. But if him and Treatz can play consistently well, can really be at this level, day in, day out, Immortals, I think, could get a lot done.
I mean, part of that consistency is just your mind state when you go into the game, right? Like having the confidence to make the plays, having the faith in yourself and the rest of your team to be able to take on anybody. And if this team is getting along to the point where they can have this sort of communication, have this sort of team play, and Tactical is then in a spot where he can consistently be at the top of that wide variance of skill we've seen from him, damn, that's scary.
Yeah, it's really, really scary. Good stuff from Immortals. Definitely impressive from them. On the other side, Dignitas, just never really got going in this game, right? I talked about some of the kind of bright spots from them last split, which really, to me, was a lot about mid-jungle. And Santorin was often able to find, a lot of early pressure, a lot of early ganks. This time, he was really shut down pretty heavily. It feels like when you pick Rek'Sai, they know what the game plan is going to be. It's going to be about these early ganks. Mid lane was the only area that he could really attack, and they just did a great job warding it up, covering it, and kind of denying any opportunities that he had.
Yep. Shut down in the early game on Rek'Sai feels bad, man. But hey, a reminder to all y'all LCS fans, Fantasy LCS is happening on Sleeper. It's not too late to sign up and start a league with your friends, then crush their dreams with your own LCS super team. Anybody that drafted Immortals players did just that just now. You can head on over to sleeper.com or sleeper.app to give it a try. But with game 3 of the day all wrapped up, we're going to join Emily and Solo, the first 30-year-old player of the LCS, on stage to get interviewed. Post-game interview.
I think they shortchanged you. We have a whole list of achievements. First 30-year-old to get a CS, first 30-year-old to get an assist, first 30-year-old to win an LCS game.
Oh, you put so much emphasis on that.
Yeah, going into today, did you actually know that you were the first 30-year-old in the LCS?
I remember Jat messaged me and he asked me, he's like, is it true you're 30? I was like, yes, Jat, that is true.
We're all older than 30, but it sounds like he's like, is it true you're old? Sounds like he was throwing some kind of shade at you. But in terms of looking at this game, I actually was looking at kind of your early game strategy, because obviously they really want to play through mid technically with the Rek'Sai and the Annie, but it was actually you that had the first successful mid gank with your team. So how did you approach the early game, and did you try to attack mid specifically?
We felt really comfy with the draft. I think they have Rek'Sai and Jax, so they really have to make a lot of stuff happen early. They have to make a lot of stuff happen early, so we knew we just had to kind of chill and scale. And luckily we found a weak point. Jensen was just kind of getting exposed a little bit. We just kind of went for him every play. After we got the first kill, it was just really easy to keep snowballing and get the dragons and stuff. So, but everyone played really well. I was super impressed. Everyone was calm, and it was a good game.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys looked really well coordinated. That was the first play where it really came together. But overall, you guys looked like you had a pretty good idea of A, how you wanted to play, and B, also how you wanted to cover the map. So with this new lineup, obviously this is the latest team that you're playing with. How has communication been, and how is the roster coming together?
It's been great so far. I think everyone's putting a lot of input. I think Treatz has been especially such a good in-game leader. It keeps it kind of simple and calm and everything. We just go for smart plays we think about, and I think to us it's we just try to keep it simple. LCS it's just all about the finer points, and we don't really need to go for these crazy plays. It's just all about making sure that you just have a positive play every turn, and you'll be good.
And then in addition, obviously, to being 30 years old, which I think they keep flying lower thirds more of your achievements. So if you hear the audience cheering you on, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But what do you bring to this team specifically? And what do you really want to establish for yourself with this IMT roster?
It's been the same for me for a while. I just want to come in. I've been playing a long time. I've been on a lot of teams. Just try to keep it stable. I just have a good eye for things when you played LCS as long as I have. You just know what's effective on stage and what's just a good scrim thing. So, I come into a team, I play my style, I do my things, I do my job, and then I just try to be hey, this is the direction we should head in, this is what's winning, and then go from there.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on being the first 30-year-old to extensive, long list of things you did in that game.
Amazing.
And then obviously winning. Thank you so much for taking the time. The audience loves you. And on the other side, we have NRG Oversimplified.
Hey all, Azael here with NRG Oversimplified. After 10.5 years in the LCS, CLG have been acquired by NRG. Most of CLG's spring roster will remain with the team though, as they've kept Dokla, Contracts, Palafox, and the coaching staff, while bringing in Ignar and FBI to open up the bot lane. This isn't their first foray into League of Legends though. Competing as Energy Esports back in 2016, they came into the spring split pretty hyped, led by Impact in the top lane and former LCK star and known bowtie enthusiast GBM, or Gank by Mom, which to this day remains one of the funniest IMTs of all time. Energy started out hot, and off the back of strong performances from GBM, including a 2 Baron steal game against Dignitas, they were tied for second at the end of week 3. Unfortunately, it was all downhill from there. They struggled the rest of the split before being bounced by TL 3-0 in the first round of playoffs. Disappointed, the team blew up the roster, trading away everyone except GBM. They brought in Quas, Santorin, OQ, and KiwiKid, but the new team never really clicked. And after finishing the regular season in 9th, they were sent to the promo relegation tournament where they were taken out in back-to-back series by Echo Fox and a stacked Cloud9 challenger roster featuring, you guessed it, Contracts. After exiting the LCS, Energy won a World Championship in Rocket League, claimed numerous Apex Legends titles, won back-to-back Overwatch League Grand Finals as the San Francisco Shock, and qualified for Masters 2023 after finishing second in this season of VCT Americas. Now rejoining the LCS, we are excited to see what they can accomplish in League of Legends.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.